surveys to monitor marine recreational fisheries. Thank you, Wendy.
Hi, yeah, I'm Wendy. I work at CFAS with Zach he and Kieran. He couldn't be here today, so he's asked me to give his presentation. I'm comparing the on-site and self-selecting off-site surveys we do in the UK. So yeah, this is just a bit of an overview of what we'll cover. So I'll just go through some background of why we're doing the project and the analysis methods that we tried, or Zach tried, I should say, and did. So yeah, for some background of why we did the survey. So off-site surveys are generally considered more biased because you generally get more keen anglers signing up to do the surveys, and then on-site surveys are less biased, but generally are a lot more expensive to run. And comparisons of the two are quite difficult to run, or rare to do, and difficult. And rarely run side by side, so it's hard to do comparisons of the two. So that's what we did. So we compared two surveys. So we did Catchwise, which was our on-site survey, and then our sea angling diary project as our off-site one. And then Zach did two types of comparisons. So we compared the traditional reweighting approach against our new modelling-based approaches, and then it also compared the on-site and off-site surveys overall. So for our off-site survey, we have the Sea Angling Diary project. So from that, we do two main surveys. So we have our effort survey from the Water Sports Participation Survey, which is a probabilistic household survey. It covers 12,000 households in the UK, and from that we can see how many people are sea anglers and how many days they fish. And yeah, that covers England and Wales and has been running. Oh, and then we have our logbook survey study, which is the Sea Angling Diary project, which covers England and Wales and has been running since 2016 and is a self-selecting survey, and there's 2,930 diarists that provide data on their catch and their fishing effort across 50,000 sessions and over 700 hours fished recorded, and it covers all platforms, but mostly rod and line. And then we have the Catchwise survey, which is our on-site survey of catch and effort from the shore, from shore-based fishing. And again, that covers England and Wales, and ran for 1 year. Don't remember which year it ran in. And then we had a 1-month pilot. And through that, we split the UK into different regions and sampled 45 site days per quarter per region. And then we ran 3 surveys. So we counted the anglers at each site, and then we interviewed them, and then we did a follow-up interview with the ones that were interviewed. And there was 2,738 anglers counted, and 1,199 out of consented to be interviewed out of 1,334 that were asked. And this is how we do the analysis for the Sea Angling Diary project. So we use multi-level regression and post-stratification analysis, which we call MRP, which is a Bayesian modelling framework. So we use 3 main data sets. The UK census, which gives us the number of people at different demographic levels. The Water Sports Participation Survey, which gives us the number of anglers and their avidities. And we can combine that and generate a model, 2 models that give us the total number of sea anglers in the UK and the total numbers of days fished. And then we have the Sea Angling Diary project, which we use to generate 3 more models that gives us the catch rate per species, or catch rate per angler, where the fish was caught, and how many days were fished. And then from each of those models, the posterior draws are multiplied to track the uncertainty across all of the different models and to get the survey totals. And then for the Catchwise one, it follows a similar but slightly different approach. So we start with the sampling frame across all the possible fishing locations, and then did two analysis approaches, so a bootstrapping one and then the MRP one that we did for the diary project. So for the bootstrapping one, we have to do a lot of imputation to extrapolate from the survey design, both for the numbers of anglers per day and the anglers interviewed for total catches. But you don't need to do this for the MRP stuff because it's able to model what was observed alongside site and weather dependent variables to estimate the relationships with anglers observed and catch rates. So for the offsite, for the offsite study, we ran a simulation study to see if MRP outperformed the reweighting. So you can look at, so it looks at if we knew the answer, which method is closest to the right answer. So you generate a census of all of the catches and simulate, survey and test the exact extrapolation approach. And then within this, the reweighting approach was unstable and the model was more consistent and closer to the actual result. So we used the modeling method. And then for the onsite effort model, the top plot shows how the variables contributed to the number of anglers at different sites, and essentially the better weather conditions and closer to amenities meant that more anglers were present and they were present later in the day. And then we compared, when the bootstrapping compared to the model-based estimates, you generally get higher effort from the model, but this was due to undersampling at high tide and later in the day where we weren't able to do any surveys for health and safety, which couldn't be stratified for in the reweighting approach, but the model was able to correct for it. And then for the catch per unit effort on the onsite one, the model generally gave greater results for the modeled estimates than the reweighting. So to check which was correct, we used the follow-up surveys where anglers were asked what they caught after they were interviewed, and used that to see which was better at predicting the right answer. And the model was generally better at predicting for both kept and returned. So we used the model-based approach for both types. So yeah, we to compare the surveys, we compared the old onsite survey from 2012, the water sports participation one, and the Catchwise one, and they were pretty much identical. So gave us quite a lot of confidence in the results that we got. And then for the total catch, it was kind of the same. So for most species, the Catchwise and the diary project generated pretty similar results, with a few exceptions for certain species. But this might be due to reporting behavior, so they're not really seen as like notable species, so they might not be reported as much. So that's something to investigate. And yeah, in general, some insights from the analysis. It kind of depends on which method we used. So when you use the traditional approach, this sea angling diary project was much higher, but with the modeling one, they generate pretty much the same results, and the model was better able to control for the undersampling, include additional variables, and better completion of the trips. So yeah, Zach says you should consider model-based raising. Yeah, thanks for listening. Sorry. Sorry, I sped through that a little bit. Yes. I'll try and answer them. How do we do?